Sea level is rising faster and faster. It's something that hasn't happened in thousands of years. In fact, sea level hasn't been higher than today for 100,000 years. And that's why we have trouble believing it's going to happen. But it's happening. We measure it around the world. It rises differently in different places, but the consistent picture is that sea level is rising and the rate is accelerating. This is only the tip of the iceberg.
Rising sea levels are affecting coastal communities across the globe. Among the string of barrier islands on the northern Gulf of Mexico, Alabama's beautiful Dauphin Island is on the front lines of this battle against the rising seas. The 1,200 residents of this 6 square miles of perpetually shifting sand are at a crossroads and responding to the combined effects of sea level rise and more intense storm surges that threaten the very existence of what was once an idyllic paradise. For generations, residents lived on this barrier island by taking cues from nature. They knew to build their houses and raise their families behind the protection of giant dunes in the midst of a maritime forest that sheltered them from the punishing winds and surges from storms. This is the story of the consequences of human intervention against the forces of nature, where hubris and ignorance led to the cutting down of trees, filling in of marshes, building in vulnerable areas, and the unrestrained development now threatening the island's resilience.
Dauphin Island is a laid-back, relaxed community that is not overly developed. This is a place that sort of time forgot. It's that unique, down-home, family-friendly environment that makes it a great place to live, a great place to play, and a great place to work.
I think at this particular point in time for the island, our biggest challenge is erosion specifically. We're physically losing the island, which is our town.
In 1950, Dauphin Island was a remote community with 2 small stores and a 2-room schoolhouse. Lacking a bridge, it was only accessible by a daily mail boat. Most of the men were fishermen and oystermen. They ran their catch up the bay to Mobile in gaff-rigged sailboats.
I mean, to me, it was like paradise. You hear Garden of Eden. That's what it was in a sense. You know, life was simple. Everybody knew one another. They did for one another, provided food for each other, vegetables, meat, what have you. So it was real family that cared for one another.
It was really a really great place to live. We took from the environment to live. We only took what we needed. Didn't take more, and we could use that because we had no refrigeration. Could not save it. We did salt and smoked fish. We had livestock. We had cattle, horses, pigs, and goats, and that type of thing. Before the bridge was constructed, we were in a wilderness. We had no power, no electricity, no running water. We had wood stoves. We had kerosene lights. You had to go out and cut wood because you cooked with wood. If you didn't cut wood, you didn't eat. If you didn't find a way to catch something or grow something, you still didn't eat. So we were pretty handy at making nets and fishing lines and boats. So we had to make our own boats to get to the other side.
For Dauphin Islanders, surviving the elements was a way of life. From one generation to the next, they learned to coexist with this dynamic landscape, building their homes on the more stable eastern portion of the island, nurturing the forest to ensure their protection, and leaving the more vulnerable western beaches for cattle grazing. They gained wisdom from the birds, wind, and water passing over this barrier island.
About every year we'd have controlled burning. we would burn the island just like the foresters do now, practicing good forestry practices. Now we have tremendous undergrowth in these woods. We have a serious fire hazard, and that livestock kept all that down. The goats especially, they ate everything.